Greetings and welcome, ghouls and goblins.
It's almost Halloween time here at Cobweb Cottage, and we're having a little Halloween party, and we thought it'd be nice to invite you to join us.
But in case you're new here, my name is Jonas.
And I'm Lindsay.
And we would love for you to stick around and subscribe for more cozy spooky episodes.
So at this party, we are sharing our 10 favorite ways for how to celebrate the charms of a vintage Halloween. We came up with this list together so that you can join in with us on social media by using our hashtag #ThisCharmingHalloween. And of course, in the comments, let us know what are your favorite Halloween traditions.
And we even made this list into a charming postcard that we are selling on Etsy. They feature vintage graphics and are wonderful to have on display or send to loved ones to greet them this Halloween. I have created a Halloween original art collection where you can adopt a jack-o'-lantern hand-carved by me. I also have custom trick-or-treat pumpkin paintings, wood-burned Halloween signs, and a rare chance to purchase original watercolor illustrations framed and ready for your cozy home. This spooky collection is limited and one of a kind and linked in the description box. So thank you for supporting small shops like ours this season.
So as we go through this list, imagine that this is our old-fashioned dream Halloween, one where it's all about playful spooks and fun. Personally, we're not big fans of horror, and we understand that the history of many holidays, including Halloween, can be quite complex. But we prefer to focus on the charming traditions while acknowledging the checkered past. So we'll be sharing lots of old postcards and vintage photos for inspiration as we go along, and as well as a few fun facts.
So grab your candy or pour yourself something cozy and get ready for some spooky fun as we go through the best of vintage Halloween with 10 spooky ideas and nostalgic traditions.
Sounds wonderful. Cheers!
Cheers.
Number 1, Jack-o'-lantern Jamboree.
First of all, let's talk about jack-o'-lanterns. Like so many other Halloween traditions, they can be traced back to the ancient Celtic harvest festival called Samhain, which means summer's end. In old Ireland, people carved turnips to ward off evil spirits. Irish immigrants brought this tradition to America, finding pumpkins easier to carve. The name jack-o'-lantern comes from the legend of Stingy Jack, who tricked the devil and was doomed to wander with only a carved turnip for light. Today, jack-o'-lanterns symbolize Halloween with their flickering candlelight, creating a festive yet spooky atmosphere.
So that's where the name Jack-o'-lantern comes from. Jack
Exactly.
of the lantern.
Yeah.
So what is our idea of a jack-o'-lantern jamboree? Well, I imagine it as a gleeful gathering around with your family to carve pumpkins, which is always such a nice thing to do together. For the jamboree, I love the imagery of an old barn decorated with corn stalks, lanterns, and glowing pumpkins that sets the mood for a harvest party with country music and folk dancing. And maybe a hayride too. I also love the idea of an Art Deco masquerade party with crepe paper streamers and quirky costumes while jazz music is playing.
That sounds lovely. I don't know about you, but I can't help get a little warm in my heart when I see a glowing jack-o'-lantern smiling at me.
Right? Number 2, creepy costumes. Have you ever seen those old black and white photos of Halloween costumes?
They seem scary.
They are incredibly creepy, but also kind of charming in a way because you can see the creativity that went into it. But it makes you wonder, why do people dress up for Halloween anyway? Originally, people wore spooky disguises that they believed to help ward off wandering spirits on the night when the veil between the living and the dead was said to be thinnest. Over time, especially in the US, costumes became more playful and community-oriented. By the late 19th and early 20th century, they began reflecting popular culture, featuring characters from literature and movies. This transformation turned Halloween into a festive occasion for creativity and social gatherings, celebrating the spooky spirit of the season.
I think it's really nice to dress up even as an adult. Yeah. And it is like you become what you fear, just for one night.
Mm-hmm. Number 3, haunted house. So Jonas, have you ever been in a spine-tingling haunted house before?
Oh, I don't think so. Not that I was aware of, at least.
Yeah. But did you know that the tradition of haunted houses dates back to the early 20th century, when enterprising souls began to transform their homes into eerie spectacles, captivating local children with illusions and thrilling surprises? So I'm a bit of a scaredy cat. I think the only haunted house I've ever been in is Haunted Mansion ride at Disneyland, which really isn't all that scary. But you know what? I wish I could experience one of those turn-of-the-century haunted houses where there was actors and magicians, and I think that would be so fun.
But you can always enjoy a classic old movie about a haunted house in the comfort of your home.
Yeah, that's what we tend to do. Number 4, Monster Mash. So let's not forget the golden age of monster movies. The 1930s brought us iconic films like Dracula and Frankenstein, to name a few.
And I just love those old movie posters. They look so amazing, how they are handmade and hand-painted.
The phrase Monster Mash comes from the 1962 song by Bobby Boris Pickett, which tells the story of a mad scientist and his dancing monster at a Halloween party. Monster Mash also brings to mind TV shows from the 1960s like The Munsters and The Addams Family.
So how many of you play the song Monster Mash in your heads right now?
No, I do.
Quite catchy.
So do you have a favorite classic monster?
I always love werewolves, so I have to say the Wolfman.
Oh yeah, it's pretty scary.
Yeah. How about you?
Oh, I love the Bride of Frankenstein, I have to say. She has a wonderful style.
Yeah, she is classy.
Number 5, Hocus Pocus. So what does Hocus Pocus make you think of?
The first thing I'm thinking of is probably the 90s Disney movie called Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
But also like a magicians on a children's birthday party.
Oh, that's interesting you say that, because Hocus Pocus likely originated from a 17th century magician's incantation, possibly derived from the Latin hocus est corpus, meaning this is the body, used during Mass. Over time, it became associated with illusion and trickery, often used by magicians to create mystery. When you look at vintage postcards, there are so many ways that witches are portrayed, from beautiful women to old hags. I love the different details of cauldrons bubbling with colorful brews and the ever-mysterious black cat, a symbol of superstition and enchantment. So what is it about witches that have cast a spell on Halloween lore?
I don't know. Maybe because they can fly and they usually have a cat. And everybody loves cats.
And personally, I would love to steal the wardrobe of many of the witches you see on those old vintage postcards. Number 6, trick or treat. Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. Did you ever hear that growing up?
No, because I grew up in Sweden where we didn't have Halloween until much later. So it keeps me wondering where it all started.
So the phrase trick or treat emerged in the late 1930s, evolving from earlier customs like souling, where children asked for food in exchange for prayers for the dead. Mischief Night, celebrated on the eve of Halloween, was when youngsters did playful pranks and lighthearted mischief. Sometimes the pranks could become a little out of hand and destructive, but generally it was a bit of playful chaos. Over time, the focus shifted from pranks to collecting candy. Families embraced the idea of children dressed up in costumes and going door to door for treats, which became a more wholesome and festive way to celebrate Halloween. After World War II, Halloween candy companies played a big role in popularizing trick-or-treating. So my question to you is, do you want a trick or a treat?
You always know me. I always want treats.
I know you do. Number 7, ghostly graveyards. The allure of ghostly graveyards invites us to ponder the mysteries of life and the afterlife. In the early days of Halloween, families would honor their departed loved ones' memories by visiting their graves and telling stories. So the word for Halloween actually comes from All Hallows Eve, or All Souls Day.
Many cultures observe days for remembering and honoring those who have passed away, such as All Saints' Day and Day of the Dead. In Sweden, on November 1st, it's a custom to put candles at the graves of your dearly departed. It can be a solemn yet beautiful day to pay your respects to the souls of those laid to rest in a local cemetery. And don't be afraid of lingering spirits, because graveyards can be a peaceful place. After all, it's a place of rest.
Number 8, party tricks.
So let's add some fun with some party tricks. In fact, I have one right here in my pocket. This old fire whistle always gives people a jump at first, but then it's followed by a smile.
Yeah.
And I actually heard this one in all the vintage Halloween songs, and I always wanted one. So what kind of games were played at Halloween parties in the past?
Yeah, so there was a lot of games that had to do with apples. Bobbing for Apples is a classic game that has its root in the ancient harvest festivals and symbolizes abundance and good luck. There's a game where you peel an apple and toss it over your shoulder to see the initials of your future partner. Many games included some fortune telling, especially among young women seeking glimpses of their future husbands. One popular superstition involves staring into a mirror at midnight on Halloween, hoping to see a reflection of their beloved. This blend of games and mystique added an enchanted air to gatherings. inviting guests to explore both playful antics and the tantalizing possibility of love and destiny.
I can tell it seemed to be a demand of finding a partner during Halloween. Maybe it is the darker months that does it.
Number 9, spooky stories. So this can be a cozy moment during the party after dinner, by the fireside, where everyone gathers around candlelight to tell spooky stories.
And perhaps it was an effective way to make people leave the party.
Yeah.
What is it about telling spooky stories that ignites the imagination? It might be the contrast to the cozy, which makes it feels even more cozier, exploring the fear in a comfortable surrounding. We like to listen to chilling old radio dramas and of course read the old classics. Do you have a favorite spooky story?
I think I would have to say it would be The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. The story of the Headless Horseman always gives me chills.
I agree. Okay, do you hear hooves?
Number 10, magical moonlight. The full moon has always symbolized a little spooky yet magical atmosphere. Vintage postcards often portray the man in the moon and paper moons, which is also a fun Halloween decor. The paper moon tradition comes from vintage Halloween celebrations, where decorative paper moons were hung to create a whimsical atmosphere. As midnight approaches, the eerie hoot of an owl signals the witching hour and the end of Halloween night as you head home under the magical moonlight. The ethereal glow of the moon on Halloween night evokes mystery and magic, and can play tricks on your mind as shapes and shadows can seem like ghosts and goblins.
But do not fear, because the powers fade when Halloween night is over and everything goes back to normal.
Or does it? So we hope you've enjoyed exploring the 10 charms of a vintage Halloween with us. As we've gone through this list, I've realized that the best of a vintage Halloween brings out nostalgia for days gone by, and a childlike playfulness that is so fun and creative about this holiday. So we hope to experience or create these for ourselves and to start doing some of these old traditions.
And don't forget that you can get these postcard sets on Etsy, plus so much more of my spooky artwork.
We hope this party got you in the playful spirit of Halloween. And please let us know in the comments all about your Halloween traditions. We have lots more spooky fun over on our Patreon page, which you will not want to miss. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can stick around for all of the cozy spooky fun here. So should we continue our little party here?
Let's do it!
All right, happy Halloween, everyone!
Happy Halloween!
Bye for now! Greetings and welcome to Cobweb Cottage. It is October here in Sleepy Hollow country, so you know what that means. Or well, maybe you don't. Maybe you're new around here, and in that case, my name is Lindsay Diane, and I would love to have you join me for this vintage Halloween cottage tour. This has become an annual tradition of mine to put on a cute witchy outfit and play some spooky Halloween music and decorate while Jonas is busy at the pumpkin studio being a professional pumpkin carver, so it's just going to be you and I today. I think the decor this year has turned out to be one of my favorites so far, and I cannot wait to share it with you. And I thought it would also be nice to share how I get some of my decorating inspiration and where I get my decor from, and I hope it will give you some decorating ideas. So it's a rainy day here today, the perfect weather for this, so why don't you pour yourself something cozy and let's get started, shall we? Before I get started decorating, I thought I could share some of my inspiration and how I get my decorating ideas. I think coming up with a theme really helps keep you on track. I like to think of the Cobweb Cottage Halloween theme as a cozy vintage witch's cottage in the woods that's next to a historic cemetery, which isn't too far off from the truth actually. For me are a mix of a witchy take on cottagecore, dark academia, and primitive rustic. I get so much of my inspiration from vintage Halloween postcards, sheet music covers, and old children's book illustrations. I'm basically always trying to recreate or make my own version of those small town scenes in those old-fashioned folk art calendars. I just think those are so cozy. I have a Pinterest board where I have some reference photos of the dark cottagecore aesthetic, which is my personal favorite. For me, that's a mix of primitive, vintage, antiques, and witchy. I also get a lot of inspiration from movies and TV shows like Over the Garden Wall, Hocus Pocus, Sleepy Hollow, The Village, Practical Magic, and more. I even get inspiration from historic sites that we have visited around New England and Old New York that have that primitive, Old Dutch, and rural village vibe. My cottage decor is obviously on a much smaller scale than what you see in my inspiration photos, but that's the fun part, is you get to put your own personal touch on it that's unique to your own home. So the majority of my Halloween decor is either vintage, thrifted, or handmade, or vintage reproduction. My personal favorite way to find items is going to thrift stores, and you can find some amazing things there. You can also look at antique stores, but that might be a little more pricey. If I have a specific item in mind that I haven't been able to find in a thrift store, then I will go to places like eBay to try to find what I'm looking for. And never underestimate an estate sale. They usually have the best bargains on holiday decor that I've found. So I actually had hoped to share a few new thrifted items with you in this video, but I did not get very lucky this year. But that's okay, it just goes to show that you don't always have to buy new things to decorate with. You can just work with what you have. I think the only recent additions this year are these trick-or-treating buckets that I picked up for free at our local recycling center, so you just never know what you can find. But when I do go thrifting, there are always a handful of things that I am keeping an eye out for that I thought I could share with you. I like to look for linens like quilts, embroidery, doilies, woven rugs, plaid curtains, woven throw blankets, lanterns, copper cauldrons, stoneware, old books, woodland animals, brass candlesticks, just to name a few things. So I hope you got a few good ideas from how I go about finding my inspiration and my decor, and hopefully it helped you out a little bit this year. So before we get started on the inside decor, I thought I could walk you through how I usually decorate the outside of the cottage. On the front porch, I love to put up corn stalks and a variety of mums and different shapes and sizes of pumpkins on the steps of the porch. The special touch is the Halloween bunting from Sourpuss Clothing that I got several years ago. I'm actually showing footage from previous years because this year, for the first time in 5 years, I could not get my hands on some corn stalks from the local farms that I usually get them from. I guess it was a bad year with the drought this summer. So I was a little bummed about that because I always love putting up the corn stalks. It just really looks like a vintage Halloween scene, and hopefully I'll figure something else out for this year. On the other side of the cottage, I'll usually put different colors of pumpkins and gourds and mums that fit in with all the colors of the cottage garden. Last year I went all out because my family was visiting from California, and Jonas even carved a pumpkin for them to see. But this year we dialed it back a little bit because the garden is so beautiful in itself already. I hope you enjoyed the outside tour of the cottage, and now it is time to move inside. Let's put on some spooky music and put the final touches on the decor. Let's begin in the kitchen, where I'm changing out my little postcard display with some charming Halloween cards. Around the window that faces out to the cemetery, I'm hanging this lovely little rustic leaf garland. and placing a few mini pumpkins on the windowsill. The kitchen is where I like to display my primitive decorations that make it feel like a cozy country kitchen. I've already had most of this decor up since the fall, so I'm just adding a few extra spooky touches. I can highly recommend adding a cinnamon broom to a basket. It makes the kitchen smell so warm and cozy. Next to my tiny apothecary, I have some dried flowers and herbs hanging for a little kitchen witchy touch. I forgot to film a few little cauldrons I have on this shelf below, but all the copper tones really warm up this area and make it feel welcoming as you enter the cottage kitchen. And of course, every cottage kitchen needs a tea shelf, and here is where I have displayed my favorite pumpkin mugs and teapot. Now let's move into the living room. In front of the old front door, I've set up a display inspired by Over the Garden Wall, where I'm using rustic autumnal tones. I want this area to feel like an enchanted fall forest with mysterious woodland creatures. So I've placed real fall leaf branches that I dried last year, and I really love the outcome. I also want to mix in some harvest elements with dried wheat, burlap, and gingham, so it feels like a rural fall festival. Sometimes it can take a lot of fiddling to get an area to feel right, but now I'm feeling really happy with it. Moving on over to the sitting area, I'm hanging up a bat garland, and this year I've added a few vintage Halloween postcard printouts to it. This is where my cobweb cushions, gingham linens, and lace doilies that I have around the cottage all year finally have their time to shine. In my vintage sheet music frame that I change out seasonally, I couldn't decide between this jack-o'-lantern one or a recent one that I got. I may end up alternating between the two, but for now I'm really loving this Harvest Moon country scene that reminds me of the Trick or Treat Disney cartoon. Boo! Don't be frightened, it's just me and my usual Halloween tomfoolery. Which means it's time to finish putting up the vintage Halloween die cuts. These are reproduction that I got from Sourpuss Clothing a few years ago, and I love how easy they are to store away, yet they totally brighten up this space. Many moons ago, Jonas made these bats from foam paper, and he used a vintage illustration as inspiration. Their little grinning faces just make me smile. I'm taking this trick-or-treating bucket and placing it on top of another bucket, and adding some lights to really make it glow. There's just a few more vintage Halloween touches to add, like these Johanna Parker salt and pepper shakers. I am just over the moon with how this dresser display turned out this year. It's my old-fashioned Halloween dream come true. The last area to decorate is in the bedroom, where I've recently put up a wooden shelf with pegs, so I'm very excited to be able to hang a few witchy things there. In the bedroom is where we have some of Jonas's original pumpkin artwork and Sleepy Hollow art prints that you can find in his Etsy shop, The Woodland Library. I thought here on this bookcase would be a nice little spot to have a Dark Academia tribute to Sleepy Hollow. Sadly, my Headless Horseman figurine has broken one of its legs, but that's okay. I'll just tuck a candle in front of it, and no one is the wiser. This display would just not be complete without Pumpy Doo, Jonas's original character who feels right at home with the ghost stories of Sleepy Hollow. I rounded up all of our antique copies of Washington Irving's sketchbook to make a little bookshelf and nod to the author of the legend. As a final touch, I've tucked pressed leaves in between the book pages that are from right here in Sleepy Hollow Country. And the decorating is done, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me at Cobweb Cottage. But for the real magic of Halloween to reveal itself, we must wait until after dark.
Halloween greetings!
And welcome to a very vintage Halloween party here at Cobweb Cottage.
We are Jack and Jill O'Lantern, and we have a lot of tricks and treats for you. But first, let's put on some Halloween costumes. Wow.
Oh wow! You look incredible as Jonas.
Oh, and you must be Lindsay.
Oh, how could you tell?
Because it's those wonderful curls and the red lipstick.
Oh yes, of course.
So thank you for joining us.
And in this video, we are going to be answering some questions about spooky season sent in by our Cozy Cottage Club members. So it should be a very cozy time chatting about all things vintage Halloween, pumpkin carving, Sleepy Hollow, and perhaps even a few ghost stories.
Ooh. So pour yourself a cup of something cozy.
And let's have an old-fashioned Halloween jamboree here at Cobweb Cottage. Wait, not yet. We're waiting for the trick-or-treaters, remember?
Okay. Cheers for this Q&A. And the first question is, what would our perfect day be like during spooky season?
How would you start the day?
Well, I would start with a good brunch. And maybe some old classic cartoons.
That's a great way to start the morning. Especially if it's like a rainy or foggy morning. Really cozy. And in the afternoon, we would go out for a walk, either in a local cemetery or go to a farm and get some apple cider donuts and walk around the pumpkin patch there.
Always around the pumpkin patch. And with conversations with the fruit. And in the evening, maybe like a Halloween event or something.
Yeah, like last year for our birthdays, we went to a Sleepy Hollow musical. And it was in this old church, and it was really like cozy, spooky, and yeah, that was the end of a perfect day.
Absolutely. It was so atmospheric. And you have a special invention that people really get like hyped up for. Some sort of dessert.
A wonderful way to end any spooky day for me is with an apple cider float. So apple cider and vanilla ice cream. Try it. It'll blow your mind. And the next question is, how do you slow down and enjoy Halloween time during a busy season?
The spooky season for us is our most busy time of the year. And sometimes it's like so overwhelming because it's just the two of us that do pretty much everything.
We often feel like we're losing our heads, but what do we do to still slow down and enjoy our favorite season?
We pick up the head, put them in a box, send them on a vacation while we're doing all the work here.
That would work. But of course, we're very thankful for all the extra work and opportunities that we get during spooky season, but it just can be quite a lot. So we try to make sure that we carve out time to spend time together, to go out for walks while the leaves are still, falling. We never want to miss a chance to see the leaves fall, do we?
No, and actually there is such a good quote that you once said. Never miss the chances to see the leaves fall.
I did say that once,
and
didn't
I wrote it down because I thought it was so good. But I really think it's important to just take a small moment, even if it's just a short moment, to just relax.
Yeah, just even
do something for yourself.
Pouring a cup of tea. Our birthdays are right before Halloween, so we always just try to make sure that we schedule in time to celebrate our birthdays and not be too stressed. So I know I kind of say something like this every year of what I'd like to call autumn anxiety. Basically, I know so many people love fall and the Halloween season so much that we're all so afraid to miss out on any of the fun festivities, but that can just put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And I think something I always have to remind myself about is that every year is just going to look a little bit different than the other, and that's okay. That's actually what makes these moments charming and memorable.
And the next question is, what are some of your favorite cozy spooky movies and books?
What are some of your favorite movies to watch?
Every year we used to watch Arsenic and Old Lace, the classic old movie.
Yeah.
It's really charming.
No.
Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow is always a modern classic, I'd say. And Hocus Pocus.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that comes with a cozy spook.
Yes, we don't really watch very many horror movies, so the Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow is probably about as much as I can handle.
As bad as it gets.
Just because the aesthetic is amazing, so I just close my eyes for different parts. But more along the lines of what we like is like the Disney Sleepy Hollow, and even the Wishbone Sleepy Hollow. If you guys have seen it, you know what I mean. It made such an impression on me as a child, and I honestly think it's kind of what made me who I am today.
And let's mention some books. Do you have any special ones?
Usually I don't get around to reading too much, but we did recently read The Ghost and Mrs. Muir in our Cozy Cottage book club over on Patreon, and it was always a movie that I grew up loving very much. And so I finally read the book, and oh my gosh.
And lately I've been more and more interested in graphic novels because it's something special to find good graphic novels with atmospheric and cozy sceneries.
You've been reading the Over the Garden Wall series, which is really great. And then this month in the Cozy Cottage book club, we are reading Garlic and the Vampire.
Mm-hmm. A very cozy read. But there's also other media that we enjoy during this time of year, which is playing games. It's very relaxing sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I heard some trick-or-treaters at the door, so I think I'm gonna go give them some candy.
Yeah.
It wasn't any trick-or-treaters.
No?
It was Pompidou. He wanted to borrow some sugar because he's baking an apple pie.
Ooh.
And he invited us for a little picnic later.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be so much fun.
The next question is especially for you.
Okay.
Because it's what's your best Halloween thrift tips?
Oh, okay. I could talk all day about vintage Halloween decor. I found some of my best holiday decorations at estate sales. So you can find some really interesting, unique things. And it doesn't always have to be necessarily Halloween, but it could have just like a old witchy kind of aesthetic. I definitely keep my eye out for anything that's kind of primitive, rustic, and of course, like folk art style. And if I haven't been able to find something that I really just have had my eye on for a long time, then I will go to eBay or Poshmark, Mercari, places like that online on the off seasons to find wonderful treasures like this.
I'm not afraid of him because he's so
No.
cute.
I know, he's he's just adorable.
And to knit the thrifting sack together, we do have a video about thrifting and like all the sorts of things you mentioned, and we go deeper in the art of thrifting.
Yes. Actually, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about today, we have full videos on somewhere on the channel. So the next question is, why is Halloween our favorite holiday? Maybe you could start with any favorite childhood memories.
Well, that's easy. There was none. Because when I grew up in Sweden, they didn't have Halloween. Because instead we have something that we call All Saints Eve. And that's a pretty cozy holiday. It's kind of the same date as Halloween. And you honor the dearly departed family member or relatives that's moved on.
Mm-hmm.
And you put candles on their graves, maybe a little lantern. If you imagine a birthday cake with like 1,000 candles, you know, the glow it make, like it glows up a whole room. That's the effect it is to walk in a cemetery during All Saints Eve.
But how do you say the holiday in Swedish?
Alla helgons dag.
So I think it's so fascinating that you did not grow up with really anything related to Halloween.
And this is a little funny because speaking of pumpkins, I didn't know they existed because I've seen them in like cartoons and stuff. And I thought it was like a fantasy fairy tale sort of creature, or you know, it's a weird fruit if you think about it.
Oh my gosh.
Like transforming into a carriage in
Yeah.
you know, Disney. And actually I was a little afraid of pumpkins, you know, because they were like they could do anything, like they could like bounce and like you know.
The vines are all.
Yeah, the vines.
Yeah, I could see that.
So Lindsay, if I ask you the same question, what was your favorite childhood Halloween memory?
I have fond memories of growing up in California, and going to Disneyland at Halloween season was just like pure magic. I spent many of my birthdays at Disneyland, and because my birthday is so close to Halloween, I would always get Halloween cards as birthday cards, and so I just feel like just a lot of warm, happy memories surrounding all the festivities growing up. Although I did not grow up going trick-or-treating at all.
So when was the first time you trick-or-treated?
So I technically never really trick-or-treated, but I did go with a group of friends to this really popular trick-or-treating spot just to watch other people trick-or-treat with their families, just to see like, oh, there's that, and feel like, you know, in a scene from a movie.
That was one of my first Halloween memories, the first Halloween I experienced in California with you. And it was just to walk around and look at people. We were dressed out, I think I was a vampire.
Oh yeah.
And you were
I don't remember.
something else.
The Wicked Witch or something.
As you said, as if you were in a movie.
I feel like it's this scene from Hocus Pocus.
Yes,
You know, the trick-or-treating scene. So don't you think it's so interesting that Halloween has become our favorite shared holiday, even with our different upbringings? I think because our birthdays are both so close to Halloween, that it just, the end of October for us just feels like this big Halloween birthday bash. And it's a lot of fun for us. So Jonas, we all want to know the story of how you, as a Swede, not growing up with Halloween or pumpkins, became a professional pumpkin carver.
I could never guess if someone had told me, like, oh, in a few years you will become a pumpkin carver. That will actually be the first job you have in America, which it was. And it's actually thanks to you that you were signed up to a newsletter from this Rise of the Jack-o'-lantern event. And you signed up when we lived in Sweden.
Because I missed Halloween a lot, because, it's starting to catch on in Sweden.
When we had moved, they were looking for artists. So I applied and sent in my samples and got hired. And I've been with the studio ever since.
So how many seasons have you been with the Rise of the Jack-o'-lanterns?
This is my ninth season. Next year is 2-digit. And I must say I learned a lot. Just in the beginning I was struggling, and it was pretty hard to get used to the round surface. It's not the most common surface to paint on. So it was a lot of things to get used to. They kept me, and I'm glad for that, and here we are.
So you started out in California, and it's just amazing how when we had relocated to the East Coast, and then we ended up being in the Sleepy Hollow country area around Halloween time, creative director that you got to know from California was back at the home base in New York and reached out and said, hey, if you want a seasonal job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you took it, and we started to look for places to live around the area, and we thought it was just going to be a temporary thing.
Yeah.
And almost 7 years later, we're still here.
Pumpkins is what brought us here.
So literally, pumpkins brought us to Sleepy Hollow. I think that's a pretty cool story.
Mm-hmm. And just to clarify one thing, it's not the Blaze I'm working for, it's Rise of the Jack-o'-lanterns. They are kind of hard to keep apart.
They're easily confused, but 2 different events, 2 different studios. The Rise of the Jack-o'-lanterns has a location on Long Island, and they recently moved to a new location, which we haven't been to yet, so I really hope we can get to do that this year. It's been a few years since we've been able to go through the Halloween experience, walking trails. It's always like such a fun experience.
And if you visit Blaze and or Rise of the Jack-o'-lanterns, it doesn't matter. It's the festive environment.
So Jonas, what do you prefer to work with, real pumpkins or foam pumpkins?
Well, both gives good results, but I do prefer real pumpkins because it's something organic. By holding a real pumpkin, it has its own personality, and you don't have to use a vibrating tool to work on a real pumpkin.
Because with the foam ones, you have to wear like a whole face mask.
It creates a lot of dust.
Yeah.
So you have to have a good mask on with filters and stuff, and you have to be suited up, and it's really messy and uncomfortable.
But I mean, also real pumpkins can be messy too, because I've helped out at the studio with you a few times of taking out all the pumpkin guts of these like 100-pound pumpkins, and that is, wow, such a tough job.
Yeah.
But like a fun experience.
You're a good worker.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I feel strong now. What's so great about helping out at the studio is that I get to see some of your pumpkins lit up at the studio before they get shipped out to the different locations.
Yeah, that's always one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, it's so magical to see them lit up, and yours details are so amazing. And another pumpkin carving question. Do you have any plans for a carving 101 kind of video or an online pumpkin carving class someday?
This year was the first time I ever did my own workshop together with the Sleepy Hollow and Tarrytown's Historic Society, and it was really fun, and I will definitely do something again. It
was definitely like a whole new world for us, and we were just incredibly grateful to receive an art grant with the Historical Society as a part of this Carving Legends from Gravestone to Gourds exhibit, walking tours, and workshops. It was just this like incredible experience to team up with a wonderful team at the Historical Society. And I think if it wasn't for their help for this first workshop, I don't know if we would ever try it on our own.
It was kind of less scary with them by our side, if I put it that way.
They know how to host workshops and tours and group settings, and we had never done anything like that before. So thank you to the Historical Society. It was a magical experience, and we were super nervous leading up to it. And we have a whole behind the scenes process on Patreon because there's so much to tell about the whole experience. But Jonas, you did such a good job teaching for the first time.
Oh, thank you.
It was so fun to see the audience reaction. Everyone came away with their own unique spin on the different designs that you created for the class. And it was just so cool to see everyone's creativity come out.
Everyone left happy.
Oh yeah, seeing everyone walking away with their pumpkins, I mean, how much better can it get than that?
That's the reward.
Yeah. So if it wasn't for this experience, with the Historical Society, I don't think we would ever have the confidence to consider like doing more workshops or an online course. The tricky thing with that is figuring out how to make time for that during our super busy Halloween season.
One option would be to go to Australia in the springtime. Have I understand it have their Halloween season or fall season?
They must have pumpkins, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
At least
I hope
pumpkins. So. That's one idea. So we'll see.
And the next couple of questions is about visiting Sleepy Hollow. And we get those questions quite a lot.
We do, and I feel like this year has been more questions than ever. So much that we finally took the time to update our travel guide on our website. We have that linked below, listed as much information as we can. I know eventually we should really do a YouTube video about visiting Sleepy Hollow. The thing is that events just constantly come and go, and things change around here all the time, and it's getting, busier each year. So I'm always a little nervous to make a video dedicated to travel tips. That's why we really trust our blog post travel guide if you would like all of our best recommendations. We can give you a few tips right now for October since there's still a little time left to visit. So one of the questions was, is it important to plan your trip, really far in advance? And I think it kind of depends what you're wanting to do. If you really want to see some of the performances or, go to the Blaze, then those tickets that run through the historic Hudson Valley usually start going on sale in like July or August, and they sell out very quickly. So if you want to make sure you see Jonathan Kruk tell the legend of Sleepy Hollow or see Hulda, the other legend of Sleepy Hollow, then definitely try to get those tickets as soon as you can. There's a lot of locations throughout Sleepy Hollow, these historic buildings like Lyndhurst and the Octagon House that we really enjoy visiting. And some of the locations you have to have a ticket to enter the property. So my other recommendation is just always double check the location's website. Make sure you're following the code of conduct for the different locations so everyone just has a happy time. But if you're planning to maybe visit Sleepy Hollow last minute, there are some free events you can do. I mean, it's fun just to walk around, enjoy the whole atmosphere. You can visit the cemetery before it closes at 4:30 every day. The Tarrytown Halloween Parade is free event. Just can be tricky to find parking if you don't get there early enough.
So we have a little joke about Sleepy Hollow nowadays. It really lives up to its name because everyone has no time to sleep during Halloween season. But I must say that Sleepy Hollow is really beautiful in November. It's less crowded, and
yeah, definitely.
You can still see some good fall foliage.
And some of the events are still running in November now.
Not only does Halloween comes earlier and earlier every year, it becomes longer and longer too.
And we often get asked where people can find your pumpkins around Sleepy Hollow and Tarrytown and your artwork for sale.
You can get my artwork at Bella's Boutique, and she have a lot of my artwork now, and you can get like art prints, postcards, and some bookmarks.
Yeah.
And it's a fun shop. She have pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's a great gift shop, and it's so cute. You have like this whole shelf. It started out as like a little section a few years ago, and then it's just grown to this whole shelf.
The shop owner is very nice.
Yeah, they're so kind.
When it comes to pumpkins, the restaurant Horse Feathers have a little of her own blaze, as she started calling it her mini blaze. A mini blaze. And I've been doing one pumpkin a year for her for like the last 5 years, I would say. And
so now there's like this growing pumpkin patch of your foam pumpkins.
You can see 2 of my other pumpkins in the Octagon House. I'm spreading my wings.
I know, who knows where they'll keep popping up next.
And another question that we get a lot is where to stay in Sleepy Hollow.
Which is kind of a funny question.
Where should you stay?
For us, since we've never had a reason to stay anywhere here. So it's hard for us to give you a recommendation. There are a handful of hotels in Tarrytown, but I've been hearing more and more that they're just like all booked up like all the time. Yeah, it seems like we're going to be needing some more accommodations around here. It wouldn't hurt if there was like a really charming old inn or something, or a cozy bed and breakfast, because unfortunately there really aren't any in Sleepy Hollow country. And I hope that eventually that will come to the area.
So what's your favorite part about Halloween season in Sleepy Hollow?
I know it can get crowded and busy, but there are moments where it really is so magical. You know, it's really thanks to Washington Irving that even the town is associated with Halloween because of the legend and the Headless Horseman and throwing his pumpkin head at Ichabod Crane. So for us, what's so special about Sleepy Hollow is the moments when it really feels like you're living in a Halloween town. You know, we don't really do all the like ghost horror kind of scary events, but we love the fun, family-friendly kind of events, and those ones just kind of bring out everyone together. It just creates this dynamic. You know, if you're all in costume and everything, it's so festive, and everyone's just kind of like complimenting each other on their costumes and taking pictures together, and just I can't describe it except that it really feels like being in a scene from Halloween Town.
It's kind of like when monsters come together, they have a jolly good time.
Yeah, exactly. And what else is so lovely about Halloween time in Sleepy Hollow is when some of our friends come to visit the area and we get to kind of play tour guide for them.
Another question we got is how does it feel to get recognized in Sleepy Hollow? And that's happened more and more lately, and it's a good sign. I mean, it must mean that we do something right. Am I right?
Or at least that the YouTube algorithm blessed one of our Sleepy Hollow videos, so it's just gotten a lot more views this year. It's just such an interesting experience, you know?
So it is surrealistic.
Very. When you get to see the faces to the viewers, it's just like my brain can't quite comprehend. So nice to hear that so many of you have come to visit Sleepy Hollow just because of our videos. Yeah, I guess I just feel like I'm not worthy for anyone to get excited to meet me. So that's why I sometimes just get a little overwhelmed when it starts happening and I get kind of shy.
For us, it really means a lot to hear that something that we created have been meaningful to someone.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Definitely.
So let's jump back to some questions about Cobweb Cottage. What is your favorite Halloween memory in Cobweb Cottage?
Usually after a very busy October, often Halloween night, we don't go out and do a bunch of crazy stuff. We just like to stay in at the cottage, have our own little Halloween party, just the two of us.
I remember one time we even did trick or treat for ourselves. You know, we took turns, and that's one of my favorite memories.
You're usually so busy all season carving pumpkins for everyone else that we don't get to carve our own pumpkins just for fun, like just a good old jack-o'-lantern. Last year we had our own little party and we carved this like kind of vintage style jack-o'-lantern face while we were listening to an old-timey radio broadcast, a like Halloween episode from the Jack Benny show. I realized that, oh, Jack Benny, that's like the perfect name for a vintage style jack-o'-lantern. So we got so attached to Jack Benny that we kept him as long as we could into November, and we took him out on a little field trip to the cemetery next door.
We had him climb a tree. It was really fun.
We miss Jack Benny.
So we live next to a historic cemetery, and what do you think that's like?
We have the best quiet neighbors.
Yeah.
Besides that, living next to a historic cemetery has been like one of the coolest experiences of anywhere we've lived. So I know some people might get weirded out by living next to a cemetery, and that's okay. But personally, we find it just very peaceful, and especially at Halloween season, it's just so beautiful cemetery.
It's very colorful and it's like a park to stroll through.
So on a beautiful fall day, we love to go out for a stroll or perhaps a picnic. It's just so much scope for the imagination there, just reading all the different names and dates and just seeing the different styles of the headstone carvings are just so fascinating. And so there are a few favorite ones that we like to visit and sometimes leave little gifts for.
At least I imagine us being very likable there. If there is ghosts, I think the ghosts likes us a lot.
Yeah, I hope somebody is happy that we're visiting.
We try to respect them.
Definitely. So we've never felt afraid in the cemetery except one time last year.
Well, that time it was a bear visiting.
Yes.
But I think he was curious to just, tag along the picnic.
Our little teddy bear picnic, maybe?
So do we have any ghost stories to share?
I know. For people who spend a lot of time at historic haunted places and old cemeteries, we sadly do not have a lot of ghost stories to share.
It feels like we should have a lot of them.
I know. We don't mean to disappoint you.
Although, when we went to Vermont, we had some kind of encounter.
We were in Manchester and we went to dinner at the Ye Olde Tavern, and it's pretty old, a historic building.
Yeah.
We had a delightful dinner, and then I believe it was that the restrooms were upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
I think I went up first, and then you came, and then you were waiting for me or something.
Yes.
I don't remember all what was upstairs, but there was this one particular room that was like, had the door kind of open, and the lights were really dim in there. And it just kind of like, you kind of felt like pulled to it.
It felt like someone was there, or somebody.
And there was this music playing in the room.
Yeah.
I mean, there was music downstairs in the restaurant too, but it was like a different
Yeah, this was more like
music.
Like old music, sort of.
Like old ballroom music.
Yeah.
Didn't really say anything to each other at the time, but I instantly felt like, well, we're not alone in here. Like, there is something going. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. But it wasn't like a scary feeling, but
it felt like ghost that was dancing,
Kind of like the Haunted Mansion feeling, like the ballroom ghosts. It kind of felt like we were in the middle of that, but we couldn't see it happening.
As you said, we didn't tell each other until we went outside.
And we were like, wait, what?
Yeah,
Felt it
you
too?
felt it too?
And then come to find out later, I researched about this tavern, and it is indeed a haunted historic house. That's our ghost story.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not super exciting.
But the local legends here are Jack and Jill and
Yes.
Pompidou.
We try to bring happy haunts is what we're after. And the very last question is a festive one about what is our dream Halloween costumes or couple costume ideas. Fun fact is that we, in our 11 years of marriage, have only done one couple costume.
Was probably my first Halloween too.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes. So I wanted to have a really fun first Halloween for you. We were invited to my friend's Halloween party. We went as Xena and Hercules.
Like the TV show.
And looking back, I realized that we went really hardcore with making our outfits. Kind of bought my Xena costume, like a warrior outfit, added a bunch of my own stuff, and we made your whole Hercules thing by hand.
The night before, we were up super late and was sewing.
I know.
And I was so tired.
I can't believe that was our last real couple's costume, and I think that needs to change. I guess it's just ever since you started pumpkin carving that we just never have time for costumes, and we don't have space to keep a lot of costumes. But some of our dream couple's costumes I think would be so fun would be like Dorothy and the Scarecrow.
I would like to be Billy Butcherson, but I don't know who you would be then.
We might have a couple's costume planned for this Halloween season that if it will come together, we're pretty excited about it.
So we would like to thank you all for the lovely questions. It was really fun to dig a little deeper and go through these questions.
It was. So we really hope you enjoyed hearing all of our answers, and thank you for joining in our spooky little time here at the cottage. And we have lots of treats for our Cozy Cottage Club members over on Patreon. We're sharing playlists and all kinds of cozy spooky stuff, exclusive videos.
It's almost midnight here at Cobweb Cottage, and it's high time for us to go out to the cemetery and join Pompidou and the picnic and try his lovely apple pie.
Oh, that sounds
I'm
delightful.
excited.
So thank you so much for joining us here for this very vintage Halloween party, and we are wishing you all the best for a very cozy, spooky season. Bye for now.
Bye for now.